Hello and welcome to Dani Golden's podcast featuring the lovely and talented licensed marriage family therapist, Miss Heidi Bacani.
Hi, Dani. Looking forward
Hi.
to the conversation. I was
Yes.
really looking forward to this one, so let's get
Yes. Me too. So if you missed episode 5, we discussed the musing I wrote, Letting Go, and Heidi provided wonderful tools on and tips on how to let go. So check that out when you can. And today we are both excited because we're going to be talking about online dating.
dating.
Yes. Online dating. And so I wanted to talk about really quickly to just recap the episode 5 Letting Go. I was just looking at my notes. I did go back and listen to the podcast
Mhm.
and applied the tools that Heidi provided and we talked about. And by that, what I mean is I went and wrote a very long journal entry because
Mm.
I feel like I had done all the steps to letting go, but I hadn't done the final one of actually like letting it go. I hadn't
Mhm.
written a piece of paper and then thrown it up and or torn it up and thrown it away or burnt it and whatever.
Mhm. A ritual.
And yeah, I didn't do my ritual. So this time I wrote, and for me, that's very cathartic and it's
Mhm.
releasing.
Mhm.
And so what I did was I was very much in the mindset of this is what's I've been struggling with, and now I'm choosing to view it as this and appreciate it in a positive light. So,
Good work, Dani.
yeah, I felt very light and um
Like more
like I had
satisfied
let
with the
yeah,
process.
more satisfied and like I had let go. It was
Yeah.
very interesting. So, um I advise everyone listening or viewing our podcast to give it a go, see how they feel. And yeah, I just think it's a healthy practice. So thank you, Heidi.
Yeah.
So like I said, today we're going to talk about online dating, but before we do, Heidi, go ahead and do your
Okay.
disclaimer.
Quick disclaimer to all the viewers, audience, listeners, people on the internets. Please take our information we provide here as for the purpose of entertainment, education, and not use it as a substitute for therapy or like any kind of medical advice that you should be getting from a psychiatrist or a licensed clinician, counselor, therapist. That's it.
Very well said.
Okay.
Okay, so let's get into online dating for all you people out there listening. So I've been online dating since 2008.
Yes.
And while I have friends and family members who have met their significant others online, and I've met some wonderful people, I've
Right.
also had situations that have been extremely uncomfortable,
Mm-hmm.
challenged me
Mm-hmm.
personally. I've come home from dates crying
Yeah.
just because of the way that I was treated.
Right.
I've had dick pics sent to me, unsolicited dick pics. I've never, just to be clear, solicited a dick pic. So every dick pic that's come through my inbox is unsolicited because I'm sorry, men, we don't want to see that. We just do not.
Not okay.
So I don't know who told you that was okay, but no woman wants that in her inbox unless she's asking for it verbally,
No,
not
thank
by what she's wearing. She's verbally requested a picture.
you. Right.
Okay.
Right.
Um, I've always really wanted to meet my person organically, and not go the online dating route. Unfortunately, I feel like we live in a society where I've noticed I've noticed this change a little bit more for the better, but in the past, I've noticed when you go out, people mostly stick to the people that they're hanging out with. They don't really commingle.
Right.
And that's something that I feel like we used to do a lot more of. And then somewhere along the way, we
Mm-hmm.
became more siloed and stuck with our groups. And
Mm-hmm.
so I would like to challenge us as individuals to get out there and circulate more, even if you're not looking. And I mean
Oh,
that, yeah, not because I'm not, when I go out, I'm not looking I'm just out and about. But I do think
Right.
it's fun and enjoyable to interact with different
Yeah.
people and converse, and that is what makes life so interesting.
And you
So,
actually meet your person that way. So
right,
it's worth it.
right. It's an enriching experience on multiple levels. I
Flirt.
have what?
Like,
Go ahead.
I think we got to remind ourselves to like flirt, smile, make eye contact in
Yes,
social situations where we're exposed to people we don't know that we're could be your potential person.
I love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have very conflicted feelings towards social media.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I know that it's a community and a place where people can come together, and I think that's wonderful. But
Mm-hmm.
I really am not a fan of the self-aggrandizing, the
Mm-hmm.
using social media in replacement of actual physical of our offline lives.
Yeah.
And I find it very difficult to summarize myself with pictures and captions. I do marketing and advertising, have my own marketing and advertising firm on the side, and I love doing that for my clients. But I got to be honest with you, it's very weird to be like, hey, I got my picture taken and I'm going to post this caption. It's just,
Right.
um, that is not something normal to me and not something that I ever want to feel normal to me because it's just not innately who I am.
That's very
Uh,
limiting.
yeah,
That's
and it's very limiting. And I feel like it's manufacturing this image of who I am, and that's not real. There's a lot of facets to me that can't be
right.
summed up on a page. And so these online dating sites are asking me to
Right.
summarize myself, and that's quite ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I also feel like online dating, use the word again, manufactures a spark or it's really hard when you connect with someone or like I swipe right on a guy and
Mm-hmm.
he swipes right on me. And I find it odd sometimes when the guy is like, oh, you're so good looking and whatever. I'm like, that's
Mm-hmm.
just weird. I know they're much more visual, but I need to meet you. Give me a minute to get to know you to decide if I want to know
And
more.
right.
Right, in person. Yeah, and I'm not looking for a pen pal. So all those guys out there that want to do the whole back and forth thing, not happening. Do not blow my phone up on text message before we've gone out and even after we've gone out. Not
Right.
going to happen. I feel like the online dating, and we kind of touched on this a minute ago, encourages people to be more antisocial. So again, I want to challenge people to do the flirting thing, smile more,
Eye
try to
contact.
be,
Mm-hmm.
less guarded when you go out and more open to interacting and letting life happen.
Right. Right. That's a good way to put it. I like
Yeah.
that. Let life happen.
Yeah. Instead of being so rigid. And I know I've been like that in the past
Mm-hmm.
of being like, I got to go do this and I got to do that. I don't have time. But I feel like um, that just perpetuates this thing that I'm talking about. So we got
Yeah.
to get out of that. So, Heidi, I
Yes.
would like you to give us some tips for some online dating. And obviously we can interact, together and chime in.
Okay.
But yeah,
Okay.
take
Okay.
take the wheel.
Okay. All right. Tips for online dating. So that this advice, take what is helpful, leave the rest. This is not meant to like make anyone feel pressure to do all these things or any of these things at all. And these specific tips come from my own personal experience with online dating as well. So I'm sure, yeah, Dani, I'm sure you have tons of tips too. So feel free, jump in.
Okay.
First on my list is take breaks. And what that specifically means to me is listen to my intuition. If my intuition is telling me I might need to take a break from online dating, it's okay to stop, take a break, slow it down. It's okay to trust myself if I'm sensing that I need that for myself. That's one way to take a break.
Hmm.
Another way to take a break is to give myself time Oh, by the way, did you have a story that goes with that, listening to your intuition? Did you ever listen to your intuition during your online dating journey?
That's a
And
great question. I have and I have not. So when I haven't,
uh,
I've come home from the dates being annoyed with myself. I'm not even annoyed at the other person because it has nothing to do with them. I'm annoyed with myself. And
mhm,
typically what will happen is there'll be an exchange and I'll get a weird feeling, or I'm just not, it's time for me to take a break and I haven't taken a break. And I have been very good about taking breaks. Like once I get disgusted
good.
with the whole online thing, I'm like, I don't look at it for months. And um I'll come back to it when I come back to it. There's no rhyme or
Yeah,
reason.
yeah, good.
But when I haven't and I've gone out with people, and this is an example of me not listening to my intuition. So like let's say there's an interaction with a guy and then I get some kind of read off of, and there's nothing in particular that this person did, but there's just something my intuition saying like, this isn't your person, don't go out
Yeah.
with them, like this is like, don't waste your time. And then let's say I decide to have this conversation with a female friend,
Uh-huh.
and a female friend's like, oh, you should go, it'll be good for you. And I start doubting myself.
Uh-huh.
And again, it's not that female friend's fault, it's my fault for
Yeah.
soliciting advice and not listening to myself, and just not listening to myself. And I think that, what usually happens is when I have that inkling not to go out with someone and then I go out with them, there's usually a reason why I got that message not to go out with them. And so then I'll
Right.
come home. Um, and be, like I said, upset with myself for not listening to myself. But I do feel like online dating um strengthens specific muscles
Mm-hmm.
as a human being
Definitely. Yeah.
that all the single ladies in the house can be proud of, because it
Mhm.
requires us to be more confident in ourselves. Because you can go on, I mean, I've gone on dates where men have just like been extremely rude and
Yeah.
offensive, and it's very easy to be like, "Oh, wait, are they right?" And then,
Uh,
so it's challenging, and it's lonely in the sense that you're not coming back to this place where you feel like um supported. Like at the
mm,
end of the day, being single requires you to save yourself, right? You to
mm,
be the one to pick yourself up. And I think even, I've talked to some of my close friends in relationships and they would say the same thing. They'd be like, that's ridiculous. Like you can feel lonely in a healthy relationship too, and still have to pick yourself up. But I think from my perspective, having been,
mhm. Single.
yeah,
Yeah.
having been single
Mm,
for so long, you know, you go out and you try on these different guys, right? Like,
right.
is this my,
Right.
is there a match here or whatnot? And it really challenges your sense of self and makes you ask, and requires you to ask, or brings up questions that I don't think I would have normally asked myself had I not been in that experience.
Right. Right. Yeah, I totally relate to your comment too about coming home and feeling the lonely. The lonely is really hard after a date. It just,
Yeah. It's
well,
like you
yeah.
feel more lonely. Like I don't feel lonely.
Right. Right.
I don't feel The reason I keep going out there is because I'm like, oh, maybe he's out there, maybe he's not, and I'm okay with that. Like I'm
Hmm.
okay with being by myself. That's fine. But I think it's challenging myself and being interested in different people and being like, oh, I'd like to see what this is like. But then when you don't listen, when I haven't listened to myself and I go out and the person is not compatible with me, or they're just not a good person,
Yeah.
then you come home and you feel more lonely than I would have felt had I not gone out.
Right. Right. The takeaway.
Yeah.
Trust yourself.
Definitely trust yourself. Definitely love yourself. Be
Yeah.
your own best friend.
But the lonely is hard for sure. Lonely is such an intense emotion. That's a hard one.
It really is. And I think I actually had a therapist say something to me recently.
Mhm.
I did like a check-in, and I really appreciated what he said. And he said, when because I'm very close with my family and I love them dearly, and I'm very grateful they're still alive and my parents are still alive. And we were talking about like death and loss,
Yeah.
and he said something like, just remember, even when they do pass, you're never alone. You will carry their love in your heart forever, and with and this experiences and memories, and even though they might not be here, they're always with you.
Right.
And I thought, what a wonderful expression and way to put it. And I thought, well, I don't have to just carry them. What about all the wonderful people in my life when they're not with me? They're still with me,
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so um
That's a good reframe to help with lonely when lonely.
yeah. So that's kind of helped me lately be like, I'm not alone. I'm
That's,
very fortunate where I'm surrounded
yeah.
by all these wonderful people, family and friends.
Right.
And like I feel like saying to the person, you're a dick. Like I don't have to listen to you, right? You're
Yeah.
the one who's lonely. For someone to act like that, you're going to be alone the rest of your life. Why am I worried about me?
Are we talking about the guy that?
Well, there's one incident. This wasn't recent. I can't. Maybe it was like a year or two ago, where I went on a coffee date. And this was the one where I came home crying.
Oh.
And he was. I call him the survey taker.
Uh-huh.
And basically, what happened was he started the date. I sat down. I bought my own coffee. Or no, maybe he paid for the coffee. I think he paid for the coffee because there was a comment about that. So we sat down and we had our coffee, and the first thing he says is first thing he starts off with was how much money he had spent on the woman he went out with the night before.
Oh my goodness.
And I didn't even care. I was just like, whatever, obviously you're dating other people. I'm dating other people. Like, this is whatever, but I don't really want to know how much you spent
Yeah.
on anyone or anything. Like, that's none of my business.
Appropriate.
And it's just obnoxious. And
Mhm.
he was complaining about this woman that he went out with the night before. And I can't remember if I made like a joke, like, thank God I'm a cheap date or something like that or whatnot. But
Yeah.
then it proceeded with, I made a comment, and then he insinuated that I like something political off of that, and then asked me if I masturbated.
Oh.
Oh yeah, took a survey, wanted to take a survey in the coffee shop about something I said, and then we walked outside, and I think this must have been around COVID, so everyone was kind of like not touching a lot of things with their hands and like just being mindful because we really didn't know at the time.
Right.
And so we got to the crosswalk, and instead of pushing it with my hand, I lifted my leg up and pushed it with the bottom of my shoe. And he
Yeah.
looked at me and he was like horrified. And I looked at him and I said, "Are you okay? Like, is something wrong?" Because I had no idea what was going on. Like, his face
Yeah.
just looked so disturbed. And he was like, "What did you just do?" And I'm like, "What do you mean? What did I just do? I lifted my leg up and I pushed the crosswalk sign." And he's like, "Why would you do that? You definitely have shit on the bottom of your shoe."
Oh my
And I
goodness.
and I'm like, "Why would I have shit on the bottom of my shoe?" And he's like, "Because we all do." And he's like, "Let's take a survey." And so he stops this woman on the crosswalk and he's like, "I just want to tell you what she just did. What do you
Oh my
think?"
goodness.
And we get to the other
Right.
side of the crosswalk and I turned to him and I said, "I just want to ask you one question." He's like, "What?" And I was like, "I don't understand how my behavior or why," something like, "I don't understand why or how my behavior affects you so much." And he looks at me and he goes, "It just does."
Oh
And I
no.
was like, "Oh my God." And so when I left, I just felt like someone had like emotionally taken all this goodness from me and
Yeah.
physically shit on me,
Right.
which
Right.
was the irony. And you come home and you like want to take a shower. You feel dirty from their energy.
Right. Right.
And then a day or two later, I went out on a different date with someone else and had red wine poured on me. And my date wanted to make out with me and thought it was attractive. And I was like, "No, honey, like no, you cannot read a room." And
What?
so, yeah, it was just so, yeah. After that, I did take a time out because I was like, this
Yeah.
is the universe is speaking to me. I'm not supposed to be dating right now. This is
Right.
awful.
Right. Yeah. Too many. Too many. I would need a break after 2 dates like that for sure too.
Yeah, it was awful. So, anyways, yes.
Okay, we digress. So
Okay.
take breaks. Take
Yeah.
breaks. Listen to intuition. If we need to take a break, I have three more on the take break category. Give yourself
Okay.
time. I was giving myself time between dates to process what I was thinking and feeling, and also sleep on it. Sleep on decisions to take time so that we can take time, so that I could take time to self-reflect why it's a no or why it's a yes, if I wasn't absolutely clear.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so those are some examples of taking breaks.
I love that.
And then tip number 2, identify the takeaways. I think every social interaction or conflict really presents a opportunity to learn. So dates, especially, I think I could learn a lot about myself and figure out like what to do, what not to do, or what I like, what I don't like, or where my boundaries are with someone that I'm meeting for the first time. So
Mm-hmm.
many takeaways I think can be had if we take the time to process um, and reflect on what happened during the date and how we felt. And
Mm-hmm.
so it can really deepen our understanding about ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I used to journal pretty consistently after dates. And then like especially with men that I really liked, and
Mm.
I would deal with all those feelings of like all those narratives and myths and lies about they don't like me, and I would like process and talk to little Heidi and remind her that she's loved and she's wanted, and this is a fear or an anxiety or something that's coming up that has nothing to do with that person. So that that time, that effort we take to journal after a date, I think really helps us work through trauma to past stuff. Yeah.
That's smart. Yeah, no, I don't think I ever journaled after a date. That's really smart now that you're saying that.
Specifically with the people that really activated fear or anxiety for me.
No, that's
Yeah.
smart. I mean, I had a male friend tell me once to use every date, good and bad, as an
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to pull
Mm-hmm.
out characteristics that I wanted in my person.
Oh
And
yeah.
so even with the survey taker
Mm-hmm.
and the guy who wanted them all my face, I think I learned two things. When a date's going that bad, just leave.
Right. That's
don't
all.
waste don't waste my time, because I was mad at myself for wasting that hour.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing wrong with politely excusing yourself, and boundaries, just a lot more boundaries, a lot more no's.
Mm-hmm.
um and not caring if anyone's feelings are hurt, because it's my time,
Right. And
and
they're.
my time is precious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Tip number 3, approach with curiosity. You touched on this earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think for me, approaching with curiosity helped me maintain an open mind to this person I had no information about
Mm-hmm.
really. And also approach with curiosity when a strong it's a strong no, but it's a fuzzy no. I don't know how else to describe it. Like there's something about
Yeah.
there when honestly, like I think with a couple people that were like a no, but like were a fuzzy no. I went out on a third date, and then and
Oh.
then I settled in. Like with my anxiety that was preventing me from getting to know them better. And when I gave myself that opportunity to get to know them better, I actually did like them. So if it's a
Oh.
fuzzy no, I think approach with curiosity and continue, like keep putting. For me, it was like keep putting one foot in front of the other and try again with that person.
I like that.
Yeah. So, and then I think you touched on this too a long time ago about something else. Do more listening than talking during an interaction.
Mm.
Maybe this is during our prep.
Yeah.
That's a way to learn more about the other person too, is by
Mm-hmm.
giving them space, lots and lots of space to share about themselves. really helpful, I think, getting to know someone.
Yeah, let people show you who they are.
Hmm.
A lot of times I think we get nervous when we're interacting with a potential mate, and we can talk a lot. And then, you come home and you realize, wow, I have a lot going on in my life. I didn't really realize, but then you're like, I didn't know anything. I didn't learn anything about that person, which I think is good too. Like, I think it's good to see yourself in other people's reactions, and perceptions, and things like that, and get a view of yourself from that perspective. And I also think, like you said, it's very important to listen.
Yep, yep. It can be very productive to do a lot of.
Mm-hmm.
Tip number 4, have rules. So rules and boundaries keep us safe. I'm
Yes.
definitely a rebel at heart, but rules and boundaries do keep me safe. So
Mm-hmm.
one rule that I have applied is investing. You just talked about this, investing less time or no time in exchanges that are solely online. People that just want to interact online a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's a clear no for me.
Same.
Yeah. Interact for me. I had I had some pretty strict rules. I had a lot of structure, I thought. Most of
That's
the time.
good.
Um, I had this rule where I would only interact with someone one time on the app,
Yeah.
one time on a text,
Mm-hmm.
and one time on the phone.
I
And
love that.
they would have to like go through that routine to get to a first date or a first, meet and greet. So that seemed really effective for me because
Yes.
it weeded out a lot of the people that were not serious about meeting their person.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that rule for me. Um, any rules you want to add, Dani?
No, I think those are great rules. I don't like when I match with someone and then they want to get my phone number because
Oh,
texting on the app for some reason isn't sufficient, which is ridiculous because it's the same. And then they
right.
want to be my texting friend. I'm not a texter. I don't text my friends. I
Mhm.
mean, a text is for me, I'm outside. Hey, do you have a second to talk? You know, want to do something this Friday. It's very short and sweet. It's not a full conversation. For people who know me and they start texting me a full conversation, you're going to get radio silence until we can actually have a conversation over the phone or in person. So I'm sure as shit not going to spend that time and energy doing it with a stranger. I'm not looking for a pen
Right,
pal. So I have a very
right,
hard no on that. And also, don't expect to go back and forth with me multiple times and then not ask me out. And I'm
right.
not asking you out. You're the man. You do your thing. I'm
Yeah.
into chivalry. Ask me out. Um, and my new rule
Uh-huh.
is within 10-15 minutes, if you make my
Hmm.
skin crawl, I'm out.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and if we do a phone date and you don't call when you say you're going to call, I'm out. I'm very strict. And
Yeah.
this and same as you, because I think it's like I don't have this time for strangers. And for me, if you're not a person of your word and that's what you're
Yeah.
choosing to show me, thank
Right.
you.
Right.
We're
Right.
moving on.
Right.
Not
Yeah.
interested.
Yeah. That's very clear right away if someone flakes for sure.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
unattractive. As a
Yeah.
human being, it's unattractive. So why would I want to date you?
Exactly. Exactly.
So yeah, those are my rules. And I
Yeah.
don't want to be your therapist on the date. Do not come to the date with your problems. I am not your therapist. I am someone who is looking for love. I am not looking to be your mom or your therapist. You figure your stuff out and you come down that date as a fully grown man. Otherwise, I'm out.
It's a good rule.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
done the work. It's your turn.
Adults only, please.
Yeah. Yeah. Only men who have fully figured themselves out and are fully formed human beings need apply.
We used to have a sign in an office I worked in that said that adults only, please.
Oh, yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
okay, and then last rule I have on my list is early on. and this was me on my first date.
Okay.
I would ask an important question about, um, let me back up. I would ask an important question about how they see themselves in a year.
Oh.
Question is, if you met your person today, where would you be in 1 to 2 years?
Oh.
Because I think that's really revealing. And if they know themselves, I think they would be able to answer that.
Yeah, I've never been asked that question or even thought to ask that question. But yeah, I think that's a great question.
Because I had very specific visions and ideas for
Hmm.
how I wanted my life to look.
Yeah.
And so I was hoping to meet someone who had a very similar vision, as mine. So that was really, and I would like, you're pointing out, not in the effort not to waste any time. Like, I think I was pretty bold, and just would ask that right away during the first time, I met up with someone.
Well, yeah, and I think that's another rule is being for that I have is being
Mm.
100% honest with yourself throughout the process. So you might meet someone and be like, "Wow, he's really attractive. I,
Mhm.
definitely would like to get to know this person." Or let's say I'm just approaching on the profile and I'm like, "Oh, this guy is like into sports, he surfs, he does this, he likes water, all that water sports, all those things. He likes
Uh-huh.
to ski, like blah blah blah." And then he puts wants kids. No.
Right.
I have to be honest.
Yeah.
That's not where
It's
I'm at,
good to be honest. Yeah.
right? I don't want to be in a relationship with this person, get connected, and then, a
Right.
year, 2 years, this wound opens because it wasn't ever
Right.
addressed.
Right. We don't want to waste anyone's time, and we don't want
Right.
people to waste our time. So
Exactly.
good to get those big ones out of the way, I think, early.
Yeah.
So those are my tips.
I love it. I mean,
I try to keep it short.
no, you did. I have share horrible stories, which I already did. So if you have any to share that
No.
you would like to.
Well, we're kind of both doing it throughout. Is there any? Sorry for the bouncy. I'm on
Oh,
a.
oh
Yeah,
yeah. Heidi's very healthy these days. She's on a bouncy ball, whereas I'm on a
trying to build
swivel
my core.
chair. I can swivel this way. Look at it, it's like the head's like not attached.
Dani.
Um yeah, so Heidi's on a bouncy ball, which is very difficult. I used to try to sit on one in my advertising when I worked at an ad agency, and that's hard. It's hard.
Good for the sciatica. I'm finding out.
Yeah.
Actually, that's for the other reason why I'm doing it.
Well, you're sitting up
Well,
very tall.
I'm trying. Share a fun story about dating, Dani.
A fun story about dating.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a lot of those too. I played miniature golf recently
Uh-huh.
on a from an online date, and I got a hole in one, which I don't even think has ever happened in my whole entire life playing miniature golf, even when I grew up and went to swim camps and different camps. So that was pretty he was like, "What are you, like a shark or something?" I'm like, "No, I just got lucky." But it was really fun to do something like that without like a sober date where alcohol wasn't involved. I thought that was, and it was an activity. I thought that was really fun.
Yeah.
Um I recently went on a date where we just grabbed a glass of wine, and I just felt like this person called me. We had a phone date, sent me a text, asked me out. We met.
Yeah.
Was a grown man, had a lovely conversation. Walked me out, said he'd like to see me again. Was going on a trip, you
Uh,
know. But my point is, wasn't blowing my phone up, like really acting like a mature adult. So that's sometimes it's just the little things where you're like, oh wow, it's so nice to meet just a
another
grown
adult.
up human being, like another adult. Um, let's see. Oh, I had a date take me to a chocolate festival once. That was really fun.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, that was. I didn't even know that it existed, and I had a wonderful time and ate a bunch of really good chocolate. And I was like, this is the coolest experience ever. I have had another date took me to go play archery. Like, and they have archery courses. So
Creative.
like kind of like a golf course, but like an archery course. And he taught me how to shoot properly. That was really fun. Um How about you? I mean, yeah, I mean, I've definitely had some wonderful creative dates where I'm like, even
Yeah.
if I wound up I wound up really liking the person as a human being, but not feeling that attraction that I'm looking for.
Right. Right.
I was
Right.
just very grateful for the experience and just thought, wow, what a quality human being.
Yeah, I think it's important to also point out that there are positive, definitely good
Oh,
experience.
absolutely.
The trauma is real, but like I said,
There are the scary ones where you want to come home and hide forever, but there are some really good ones too.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll share one trauma story where
Okay.
it wasn't my trauma. I think it was his trauma actually that came up during the date because I used to wear this ring that looked like a wedding band,
Okay.
and he noticed it and he fixated on this ring. Like
Oh.
he kept asking me questions about, are you sure? Are you want to? Why is your wedding band on your middle finger, not your ring finger? And you have to be married. Like I don't believe, And
Oh.
I was like, what? I was really taken back because I'd never been accused of something like that before, and nothing I said would alleviate his like anger or anxiety about it. So I gave him lots of space to just do whatever he needed to do to emotionally regulate and continued with the date because I could see he was really upset. Um, and I just, I tried to make the best of it. And I was sort of in service that night, but trying to be of service that night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's hard. Dating's hard. People walk away with a lot of different experiences. So I have a lot of empathy for people too that um, I can tell are having a tough time.
Yeah, and I
So
think it's yeah. Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
that's it. That was like one of the harder things I remember. When you talk about like leaving, I
Mhm.
kind of contemplated that, but it wasn't hurting me in the moment to sit there and let him like emotionally regulate after he had gotten so disturbed. And um and it was fine. He didn't turn out to be like, scary or anything. So just rolled with it for a little while
Yeah.
longer than necessary, maybe.
No, I've done the same. And I think, sometimes you have to put yourself in the other person's shoes and be like, this could be me on a different date.
Mm.
This person might just be having a bad day.
Right.
Everyone's got
Right.
a lot of stuff going on in their life. And,
Good point.
it's just important to give people grace and practice empathy and realize that we're not always our best selves and buttoned up and put together. And it's
Right.
important to be compassionate and kind and realize that this person might just need someone to listen. And if you
Sometimes.
can do that,
Yeah. Yeah.
hey, what is it to me?
Right. Right.
Seriously.
Agreed.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. That was wonderful. It's funny.
Um,
I turn over and the first note I see is dick pics. It's like the first bullet point. And then followed by who walks around taking pictures of themselves to post online and market themselves? Not me! Exclamation. Um. Okay. All right. So, anything else for tips or sharing that you want
oh,
to?
I should probably share this. So,
Okay.
we just we just did a whole thing about like rules and boundaries. We talked
Yes.
about boundaries, and I think this was a good reminder for me when I was prepping for this that I can't take myself so seriously all the
Yeah.
time, and B, I like to think that like black and white keeps me safe. Like there are rules that keep me
Right.
safe, but life is full of gray areas
Oh
too.
gosh.
So I guess I'll share with the viewers and listeners that with my beloved, like I broke all the rules with him
Oh.
and it worked out fine.
Okay. Yes.
So
When it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
Yeah, black and white. Dating, there's no black and white with dating. There are
Or
gray areas.
right or wrong,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
Right. I
Yeah. So
know.
you just have to go with your intuition or your gut feeling as well. So, yeah. These rules, these tips are there to provide some structure, but at the end of the day, sometimes you just know.
Hmm.
So,
And you can also know when you don't want to go out with someone. So
yeah.
I think those tips are more for when you're not sure and you're nervous and you have anxiety, and you're kind of flying blind. And then when you know, you know,
Yeah.
and you could know, not, you could know that you don't want to see them and you could know that you want
Right.
to see them. But yeah, no, I love that
Right.
because, the older I get, the less perfect I realize I want to be, and I am. And
Yeah.
so, trying to subscribe to a form of rigidity that doesn't feel right
Right.
all the time is just a recipe
Yeah.
for disaster.
Yeah. Sometimes it doesn't serve. Sometimes it serves us. Sometimes it doesn't serve us. So
Right. Right.
good to know that the
Yeah.
gray also exists.
Yes. And then I have, another, I have wrote the man who pretended he was not interested. So I went to the holiday party over obviously the holidays, and I met someone, and I knew when I gave them my number that I wasn't interested, but I didn't know how
Right.
to say that at the time.
Right.
Or it just wasn't coming out, and I was like, oh, we'll
Mhm.
give this a go. So when I got home, I was getting text messages from this person, and then the next morning I responded and I said, hey, it was so lovely to meet you. I'm just not feeling the connection I'm looking for. And he wrote back and he said, oh, that's so great. I'm glad you said it first because I was about to tell you the same thing. So I think this whole thing about not taking it so seriously and just being able to laugh and be like, okay, that was an experience, and
Right.
practice, letting people down, or having people, like, not let you down, but like say they're not
I
interested,
know.
and not take it personally, and realize like you don't want to be with someone who's not interested in you, just like it's not wise for them to want to be with you if you're not interested in
Mhm.
them. I also try to practice like different strategies. So like there was a guy that I saw on his dating profile, and there were two pictures where he had like a full head of hair, and then two pictures where he was like bald and he had gained like 20 pounds. And I was like,
Mhm.
wait a second, who is this person? Is he the first two, or is he the second
Right.
two, or what? So normally I would never ask that question. I'd swipe left and be like, I'm not interested in this person. But I was like, oh, you never know.
Yeah.
It was a fuzzy no. So I wrote, hey, I saw your pictures. Which ones are the most recent? Which I never would have said, but I was practicing a different tactic for
Good.
me.
Good work.
And he called me superficial.
What?
And I said, thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful
Right.
day. Because
War.
I was being superficial, but I also wanted to
No,
know, you don't think I was being superficial?
I don't think so.
And I just wanted to know which pictures were. Look, I've been on dates, and I'm sure you have too, where the guy shows up and he looks nothing like his pictures. So
Right.
again, it's like, if you've been in the game as long as I've been in the game, you know what I mean? Like, you get to a point where you're like, who am I meeting up with?
Right. I want to know
I
who
don't
the
want
guy.
to be catfished.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
So,
Another
yeah,
episode for another time.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Um, And I was in that, about the one where he called me superficial. I was practicing being forward and honest about my needs. So I
Right.
think that is something that I wanted to explain to the viewers and listeners, is that don't be afraid to like develop different practices of like being like, oh, okay, I've been on this lane. I kind of want to go here, and then pivot back and feel I mean, I'm learning to have more fun with it now. I think when
Yeah.
I first got on, I was like, oh God, I hate this. I hate this. I hate this. I hate
Yeah.
this. And now I've gotten to the place where I'm like, it is what it is. Let's
Right.
just, if I can't control it, let's just have fun.
Yep. Yeah. So
So
it's a learning curve with online dating. Yeah.
for sure.
The longer I was in it, definitely the more efficient, the more brave I
Mhm.
got to over the years.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So your question for
Oh
episode
yeah,
6, are you
I
ready?
go. I don't even know what this question is, honestly. So go for it.
Okay.
Happens.
We did it in practice, so it's
We
not
did.
complete. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's been a bit. It's been a minute. Do you feel lucky because you no longer have to do the whole online dating thing?
Oh yes, yes.
Like monster.com, you throw your, well, when that first came out, it was It's not
Mm-hmm.
as popular as it used to be like 24 years ago. Um, when the normal thing to do used to be, when there became a time where you submitted your resume online as opposed to meeting people and delivering it in person, it felt like you were throwing your resume into the ether in the hopes that ET would phone home,
Right.
which is similar in the sense a little bit to online dating, right? You're putting your
Definitely.
profile up and
Needle in a haystack situation.
exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. Um,
Do I
so
feel
yeah,
luckier or
yeah, lucky,
luckier now that
yeah.
I'm not there? In a sense, I think I do feel there's a sense of relief. I think
Hmm.
is what comes to me when I think about it. A relief that I'm not the work that goes into online dating. I'm relieved about
Hmm.
not doing that work. And there is work in being in a relationship too. I mean, I think there's
Right.
trade-offs. There's always
That's a
trade-offs.
perfect answer.
I
Not
mean,
that I'm grading you, but that is really like, because I used to think like, oh, this all goes away if I meet someone. And
right,
then I got to the point where I was like, wait a second, when I meet someone, there's going to be all that crap too,
right.
So I think it goes back to the grass being greener, maybe
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of that.
Grass definitely is not greener. And I think I've actually been aware of this before, like when in situations with Gene, my husband, he we'll talk about our online dating experience, and we'll think back to how I would think back to how hard that was for me, and I would say out loud to him, like, I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky that, I did meet you, and that we've been together now for almost 10 years. And,
Mhm.
um, like, thanks to online dating, like that happened.
Right.
So the work is so hard, but it is so worth it in the end, I think, when you're done with it and you have met someone, if that's how you meet your person. So, yeah, yeah, I feel lucky, and I'm grateful that it happened that way, and relieved that I'm not on there anymore, for sure.
I was talking to an old friend over the Super Bowl weekend. We were watching the game and we were talking
Mm-hmm.
about online dating. And he was talking about, he had a very, very great point, and I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
share. So I can't take credit for it. This is him.
Mm-hmm.
But we were talking about online dating, and he was like, and I made a comment and I said, he goes, you want to know why online dating not sucks, or maybe he
Yeah.
said why or whatever. And I said, because or he said something about online dating. And I said, oh yeah. I said, it sucks because you have to return everything. And he goes, well, if you think about it, when you online shop, it's the same thing. When you online shop, you're not trying it on, you're not seeing it in person, you're not feeling the fabrics, you're not looking at it, right? So you're less, so versus going to the store and trying things on in person, you're less inclined to return them. So I thought that was a really simple
Right.
analogy
Right.
um, to define why I've always wanted to meet my person organically. Not that I'm not open to meeting them online, because then you can meet in person and maybe it'll feel like you've
Right.
known this person forever, right? If it's the right person.
Mm-hmm.
But I just thought that was worthy of sharing.
Angie, yeah.
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 Okay. PSA and books, unless you have anything else to share.
No, I think that was, I wanted to stick to our outline here, so I think that's all I have.
Okay. I like
All
it.
stuff. So, I don't have books today, but I did
Okay.
say, public service announcement today is for the Center for Community Counseling, and this is actually a therapy clinic in San Diego at San Diego State University. Their phone number is 619-594-4918, 619-594-4918. And their website address is www.centerforcounseling.org. And if you go to that website, you will see that they have a online form if you want to request more information on the services. They offer counseling, therapy provided by people that are in training, like I was myself many moons ago, and they're supervised by licensed therapists that
Mm-hmm.
are very knowledgeable about how to conduct psychotherapy. They offer individual, couples, family, and group therapy. And it's all sliding scale, low cost services. I'm assuming on the San Diego State University campus. I'm not sure about that. I did
Okay.
call, and you have to fill out a whole form before you like get the address and all that. So
Okay.
it's worth the work of submitting the form and calling and all of that stuff.
I love
Um,
it. And I'll put that information below the podcast. So if anyone's interested and curious, they can check out and follow that URL or call the phone number that Heidi provided.
Perfect. And that's it for my PSA. So everyone, go get yourself some therapy. It's good for us.
Yes, it actually really is. And share your online dating stories with
Oh yeah.
us in the comment sections below this podcast. Don't spare the details, as Heidi would say. And yeah, I mean, just my best advice would be just have fun, do you, and remember not to take don't take, what you were saying, Heidi, not to take yourself so seriously. I think those are the keys, not only to just online dating, but to life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Online dating is hard. We need to
It
be kind,
is.
kind to ourselves.
Yes. And don't try to people please, because
Mm-hmm.
I think I went into it doing that. And I think it's definitely an exercise in being, discovering yourself and finding what feels right.
Mm-hmm.
And not being
Yes.
afraid to be yourself, because if you are looking for your person, eventually one day you're going to have a bad day and they're going to see what you're like. We're not always our best selves, so you might want to show some of that up front so they're not like there's no bait and switch situation happening here.
Right. It's okay to be real during a date.
Yeah, just like you would if you met like a new friend.
Mm-hmm.
When I meet new people, and I have new friendships, like I'm not afraid to be myself, because I've been in bad friendships before and I don't want to repeat that. So it's like, if you don't like who I am, we shouldn't be friends. And that's okay. You do you
Right.
and I'll do me.
Right. Some
So,
people are allergic to strawberries. It's okay if we don't get along with everyone we meet. Yeah.
right, exactly.
Mhm.
Or pineapple. Well, thank you, everyone.
Fun, Danny. Thank you for the conversation again.
You too. And please join us for our next episode.
Yes.